How's it going, everyone? Welcome to episode 52 of the Duck Boat Report. Here with Patrick Donnelly, I'm Brady Gardner. Patrick, how we doing?
We're good. Kind of fighting through some pain for this one. Got nailed with a ball and wiffle ball like half an hour ago, but we're fighting through the pain.
We are also joined here by Conor Ryan of Boston Sports Journal. How are we today, Conor?
I'm doing very well. How are you guys doing?
We're great. We appreciate you coming on here. Gotta say, probably most high-profile guest, Patrick, in an esteemed list of Duck Boat Report guests.
Yeah, I guess Matt Castle isn't technically in the Duck Boat Report. He was with Beantown Banter, but yeah, those are the two big fish.
Yes, well, we appreciate Conor coming on for this special edition here, going through the all-time greatest Bruins and drafting teams based on who we pick in a draft of those guys. So we'll see how it goes. What are we expecting today, fellas?
Expecting some teams with a pretty deep center and defense lineup. And like kind of like what we said off air, wing might get sketchy with guys who you consider to be on an all-time team.
That's pretty much what I was going to say. Yeah, I don't think you have to worry about down the middle and on the blue line. I think they're pretty set there.
I got to admit, I don't feel that great about my all-time Bruins knowledge. I've been doing some panicked research, as I will probably continue to over the next half hour or whatever it may be. How do you guys feel about your Bruins knowledge all-time?
Not too bad. I mean, you grow up like, I remember like watching like, the late 90s, early 2000s. So it was like, Joe Thornton, Jason Allison, all those guys. But I think growing up, like your parents have the responsibility to tell you like over and over and over and over and over again about like, the 70s teams and the big bad Bruins. So I think it's all been drilled into all of our minds over the years. So I'll throw definitely a few more of those guys. If we look back at like, like the 50s, you might get in trouble or something like that. I only know a few of those guys, but so we'll see how we do.
Yeah. Same thing. Like my dad always talks about like the 80s teams. Nothing really happened in the playoffs with those teams, but great couple regular seasons. And like, I guess like my conscious knowledge is like nothing really past 2010. But which is probably the case for most people my age, but we'll see.
That's me too. I got to say, Patrick definitely wins the best background award. Very fitting of this, Patrick.
It's all Bruins except for the stick. It's signed by Ryan Suter, which is kind of out of place. But I mean, if he gets a cup, he'll probably be in the Hall of Fame, I think.
There you go.
All righty. Well, I will share my screen here. All right. I have a random number generator up. There was some controversy last time when we did the Celtics draft a couple episodes ago with Ethan Fuller. Go check that out if you haven't, after this episode, of course. I went first. People didn't like it because I ended up getting the first pick overall. So with Conor being the guest, we'll pick Conor's number first. Random number second. All righty. Patrick. This one's for Patrick. Oh, he's got the first pick. So I have
a tough pick to make.
Interesting. All righty. Well, Patrick, you are on the clock.
With the first pick, we got out of Parry Sound, Bobby Orr, number 4.
You're really reaching there.
Yeah, I don't know. Ray Bork might have sniffed it. But got to give the edge.
All right, Conor's up.
Yeah, I'll go number 2, Ray Bork. I think those are the two cut and dry ones there.
It's probably it.
I was saying to Brady earlier, 4 through 7 there, 4 through 7 there are a couple guys who could really go anywhere in that range.
Right.
3 through 7.
And that's where I am right now. I had a name earlier that I was thinking of, and I was like, if I end up at 3, I'm going this guy, no doubt. And now I'm having second guesses. I think I'm going to do it. And am I? Let me do a quick final check here. I'm going to go with a recent guy here, but it's going to be Patrice Bergeron. I think you would struggle to find a guy who has had such a long and successful career with a single team. Admittedly, I do not know every single player to ever play in the NHL. But I think the way that he has gone through the program all the way from being 16 years old when he came to Boston, and all the things that he's done both on and off the ice. I think he's a model Bruin, first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's a first line center on my team. I have another pick here, don't I?
You can't go wrong. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It helps that you have 2 back-to-back.
I do have 2 back-to-back. And I think I'm going to go the guy who now spends his time up on the 9th floor, it'll be Cam Neely at right wing next to Bergeron. I think that's a dangerous duo there. And, Bergeron, not really a guy who's going to drop the gloves anytime. So if you need someone to, rough somebody up on that top line, you got Neely there. And, of course, great scorer as well. All righty.
All right. Well, speaking of scoring.
Not your turn, sir.
Oh, that's right. Connor was second. My bad.
Stay with us.
Oh, okay.
Whoops.
Right. I even lost track of it. I was like, oh, man. All right. A lot of good options. I'm going to go – I'm worried. I think I just maybe took your pick, Pat, so I'm sorry. But if I'm going to go with a guy down the middle, I'm going to start with Phil Esposito.
It's all right.
Yeah. Before there was Gretzky, there was a guy like Esposito who, broke all the scoring records, kind of did what, set numbers that guys really didn't think were possible in the NHL at that time. So I'm going to go with Espo.
I like it.
All right. Well, we'll stick with scoring. I think I'll grab my right winger. We'll go Rick Middleton. Just the hands and the soft touch around. Just from what I hear, obviously I wasn't around. But the scoring ability is there. So we got our franchise winger. And then 2 back-to-back here. I'm going to wait on this guy. I really want him, though. So I think we're going to go left wing here. We're going to go Johnny Busick. Also a classic. You can't really go wrong there. One of the guys who should just go anywhere in that next 7 after the top 2 or so.
Does that mean you picked your captain already too? You probably have.
Probably. I mean, it'd be tough to find a guy who's more qualified to be the captain than Busick.
5 of 21 seasons captain. He's the chief.
Yep.
All righty. Conor is up.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with the Bruins way they build their roster and build it up through the middle first. So for my second line center, I'm gonna go with Adam Oates.
Oh my God! I should have took him.
He only played in Boston for 5 years, but I mean the numbers he put up were absolutely ridiculous. I feel like I could put some random dudes with a guy like Adam Oates, and they're gonna put up 30, 40 goals. So I'm putting in Adam Oates for my second line center.
Man, I said I could have waited. It turns out I couldn't have.
I would have taken
I had him.
Picks, so you didn't have a chance there, Patrick. Good try though. I'm gonna fill out my first forward line and go with Wayne Cashman, one of 4 Bruins to play over 1,000 games. So you gotta love long tenure with the Bees, and of course great numbers around there too. 6th in points, 5th in assists, 7th in goals. He also wore the C for 5 years, so might have my captain already too. But Wayne Cashman is joining the team. I'm keeping a list, by the way, folks, so don't you worry about that. Next up, do I dig into defense? I might. No, I don't know. I don't think I will. I think I'm going to go second line and grab a right winger, the quintessential bad Bruin as described by a Bleacher Report article that I'm getting all my knowledge from currently, Terry O'Reilly. Franchise leader in career penalties, penalty minutes, which isn't great, but a great forward. Once again, top 10s in points and assists, and another captain too. So got some good leadership qualities on my team. All
right. I'm up next.
You are.
All right. I could get a winger because I know those are going to be in short supply pretty soon, but. Whatever. I'm gonna just beef up the defense. I'm gonna go with Zdeno Chara, who I think you put him and Ray Borg together on a deep pairing. You got kind of the best of both worlds. You got a guy who's able to move the puck up into play, a guy who's established as an offensive defenseman, a guy who could pretty much do it all in Ray Borg, and a guy who I think we're gonna look back on his career and say it's almost criminal that he only won 1 Norris and Zdeno Chara, just in terms of in his prime what he could do at his size. So I'm going to go with Zdeno Chara as my next pick.
I like it. I was thinking about him, but didn't pull the trigger. And there he goes. All right.
That makes my next defenseman pretty easy. I think we're going to go Brad Park. I don't think – I mean, Orr and Park on the same pair, nobody's really going to have a conscience defensively. But we'll have the scoring touch. He's 3rd in franchise history for defensemen in points, 417. So can't go wrong with the offense. And I think we'll take a center with the back-to-back pick. We'll go Milt Schmidt. Obviously, definitely was not around. But what you hear, quintessential Bruin, has the Hart Trophy, the longevity, kind of do-it-all type of guy, just by all accounts. So
Interesting to see how you guys are building your teams. Patrick's kind of all across the board, and then Conor's gone defense and centers so far, and I'm totally forwards, which makes me nervous because they're seeing some good defenders going off the board very quickly. But Conor is up in round 5.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with both current production and possible future production. So I'm going to go with David Pastrnak for my next pick, who was pretty much all but assured going to score 50 goals this year if it wasn't for the pause, and is probably going to be scoring 50-plus goals for the foreseeable future. So, yeah, David Pastrnak's my next pick. I think putting him next to either Esposito or Adam Oates, you're going to get a lot of scoring.
Ooh, him and Oates together would be insane.
Yes.
Well, they are apparently together on the top line there for Conor. Well, potential top line. Actually, it's going to be hard to move Esposito, I would guess, from that top group. I have 2 picks here, and I'm thinking it's about time I go defense here. So let's look at the list. Yeah, you guys took some good ones. I think I'm going to take a guy that Patrick has referenced many times in a joking fashion from a movie I do not understand. It's going to be Eddie Shaw. Can you give it to us, Patrick?
Yeah, sure. Old-time hockey, like Eddie Shore. Yeah.
Thank you. Patrick says that probably once a week. So I've heard it plenty. Didn't realize this guy played on the Bruins, but I cannot complain about the numbers. 6th in franchise history in points by a defenseman. Obviously, numbers retired. Kind of up there in penalty minutes, so I am getting some scrappers for sure. But yeah, Hart Trophy. Won the Hart Trophy 4 times in the 1930s. So another one of those old guys that definitely did not see play. But happy to have Eddie Shaw in there. My first defenseman. Do I go with another one? I don't know. I think the second tier of defense is kind of deep here for the Bruins. So I might go back towards a winger because we know that those might be hard to come by towards the end here. I'm going to go with another old fella, I think, by the name of Dick Clapper. First name Aubrey, but that's not how people know him. And a guy with the name of Clapper, you figure, has to be great at hockey. So he was a captain, another captain for 6 years, and then again for 7 years. So also a head coach for 4 seasons, and a number retired. 20-year career in Boston. Dick Clapper.
All right, let's see. Now I'm at a conundrum because I'm like, I feel like the wing is going to dry up pretty soon. But you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go down the middle again. I'm going to go with Joe Thornton as my third line.
Gosh,
Oh.
taking everything.
Yeah, talent wins out, man. You got guys in the middle who can be playmakers. You can make 20, 30 goal scorers out of a lot of random dudes. So I'm going Jumbo Joe down the middle. Guy who I was devastated with when they traded him. So
Should they bring him back at the end of his career here?
they were exploring it, going into the deadline. So it would have been nice. It was one of those situations where you think about it and you're like, oh, it'd be so awesome if they were able to win a cup and have him back here. But then you look at like where he would fit, and then it would be the whole problem of like, what role would he be in? So if he's fine being like a depth guy, maybe, but where he fits on like the actual playing roster, that's when it gets a little dicey. So, we'll see. Maybe in a few more years when he's already pretty long in the tooth, but a few more years down the road, if he wants to come back and just be like a veteran presence guy just in the room, then maybe he could bring him back. But if he's going to be playing 82 games, I'm not too sure about it.
Alrighty. Insider perspective there from Conor. Patrick, you're up.
All right. I'm going to go back to the well here on defense. I already have a ton of offense. Torrey Krug looks real appetizing. But I think we're going to go with Donnie Sweeney. Third all-time in games played. He's kind of, again, by all accounts, the do-it-all type of defenseman, 262 career points. Someone's going to be a conscience back there. So I think he's the guy for that. And then this next pick, kind of what Connor's been saying, I do want to go winger, but you got to shore up the middle. I think we're going to go Mark Savard. From what I've seen, kind of what I remember, I was 7 years old when he was in his prime with the Bruins. And then just kind of what I've seen at the tail end, just a wizard with the puck. And also that what if factor, just like what if he stayed healthy and Matt Cook wasn't such a scumbag out there. But so those are the 2 picks there.
All right. Well, could go defense, but I think I have to start getting some wingers. So I'm gonna go with Brad Marchand, who, I mean, he's a lot of teams don't like playing up against him. Usually, in the past it was because of, he's such a pain to play against, but he's really kind of transformed his game into being arguably a top 3, even maybe the best overall left winger in the NHL now. So I think you put him anywhere in the lineup, he can do a little bit of everything: power play, penalty kill. He's great at driving at 5-on-5 play. So I'm going to put Marchand on my team.
Wow. So he's got Pastrnak and Marchand. Are you putting them on the same line?
I think you have to. I think let's just overload. Again, I could literally put some Alexander Koklachev or something with Adam Oates, and I think he's going to get 20 goals. So I think we should be good.
Alrighty. I think I got to go back towards a defenseman. The question is who? Yeah, you guys are taking some of the top ones. Did you know Zdeno Chara ranks 3rd all-time in Bruins defenseman goals, or goals by defenseman? That is bonkers.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. Patrick just said this guy, and I think I'm going to go with him. Torrey Krug. He's 270 assists, ranked 5th among all the Bruins defensemen all time. Plus minus isn't great. He's only a 23 plus minus.
That's a dead stat.
That's yeah, I guess it probably is. Thank you for supporting my pick there. But yeah, this is a guy pay him all the money you can without going over the cap, because I think he's just a game changer in all situations. Well, maybe not penalty kill, but definitely puck moving defenseman. But also even more than that, I think big guy to have on your defensive lineup. So Krug is in, and another pick. I don't know how early it is to go for goalies. I don't know your strategy here. I feel like if one person does it, the next it might keep going.
I wasn't thinking goalie anytime soon, but you might change that.
That makes me nervous though. I don't know, you might pull a fast one on me. I don't like that. Okay, maybe I won't go with goalie. Thank you for the insight there. A little scouting going on. Instead, I'm gonna look for forwards again, and I need somebody up the middle for sure. This is a guy who has quietly been one of the greatest centers in Bruins history. Also a member of the current roster, David Krejci, I would say. So I'll take Krejci. I needed a center desperately, and he's just kind of a no-nonsense guy that just gets it done in the middle. So I've got Bergeron and Krejci. That's pretty good up the middle, and comparatively young as well. Those are my 2 picks.
All right. Well, I think I'm gonna. Let's see. I think if I need to get a guy for Adam Oates on that second line, I think I'm going to go with a guy who was only here for a few years, but managed to put up quite a few numbers. So I'm going to go with the guy up from Quebec, Joël Junot, who put up some crazy numbers in a short amount of time. Obviously, everyone knows the production he put up together with Adam Oates. It's one of those unfortunate things where that whole line was so productive, but it only lasted for such a short amount of time. So it's very much a what if, but even when he, went on from the Bruins, he still had a very productive career. And I think putting him with Oates, you're going to get a lot of goals and a lot of playmaking, especially from left wing. So I'm going to go with Junot.
I got to figure out how to spell that. I don't know. Is it a J or a G?
J. It's literally, if you want to do an English word, it's Joe Junot.
Oh, okay.
Just being fancy.
Yes.
Just being very worldly with my delivery.
All right, Patrick.
All right. I think we're going to take some wingers before they dry up. On the left side, we're going to get a little bit of snarl going. It's probably a little early, but I think we'll go with Milan Lucic. Just if we put him with Savard, we got the setup man there for Lucic, or if we put him with Schmidt, maybe could get some chemistry there. And then next pick, we'll go Kenny Hodge. 289 goals. Kind of the third guy behind Orr and Espo that kind of gets lost in the shuffle. 674 points in 652 games with the Bruins. It speaks for itself. So we got the scoring touch there.
Oh boy. All right, you've left me in the dust here. Who was the first pick you just took?
Milan Lucic.
Oh, God, I wanted him. All right, sweet. Onwards. Thank you.
All right, let's see. I have a question. So for like, if we're picking someone who played for the Bruins, we're picking them based on like the production they had with the Bruins, right? We're not like, we can't like put in like Paul Coffey and like he's like Oilers Paul Coffey, right?
Yeah,
It's like old ass Paul Coffey, right?
Yeah, I think we're going with
Okay, good.
Bruins career.
It's not like if you did like Celtics and you did like Shaq and he was like 2010 Shaq, where like literally he could play like 8 minutes and he was winded.
Exactly the reference I made with Patrick and Ethan for our Celtics episode. So.
All right, perfect. All right, well then, let's see. This is a bit of a veteran guy, obviously, kind of going on that same wavelength, but a guy who is, you know, a key top 6 guy, key veteran dude, a Hall of Famer. So for my right wing on my top 6, I'm going to go with Mark Recchi, a guy who was invaluable on that team. Yeah, guy who was invaluable. Obviously, not the level of production he had kind of in his heyday, but still, you know, a veteran guy who could do a little bit of everything. Key for a team like that, and fit in really well with Bergeron's line during that run to the Cup. So I'm going to go with Mark Recchi.
Wow. All right. 2 picks here. Let's see what I need on my roster. Still looking a little light at defense, and overall, actually, it's not that bad. I might be ready to dig into a goalie here. I think I will. So, looking at goalies, I think there are a couple obvious selections at the top. There's one that I think Patrick's going to want, so I'm wondering if I'm going to take him. He might be the only one with 2 of the same letters in his first name, or, you know, 2 pairs of letters. Thinking about him, thinking about another fella as well who is a little bit older, but his numbers certainly stand out. Born in 1903. Do I want to do this? I think I'm going to go with Tiny Thompson, because this is nuts that he has a goals against average of 1.99 in an era where like they wore less protection than like MLB catchers do now. It's unbelievable how he had good numbers without wearing like any pads, it feels like, in those days. So I think I'm going to take Tiny Thompson, who I'll admit was not on my radar earlier on, but I have nothing to complain about when I look at these numbers. I mean, a goals against average of 1.15 as a rookie. What? So Tiny Thompson's my goalie. And I have another pick here as I ramble about Tiny Thompson while trying to find who my next pick is going to be. Gonna go with defense on this one and take a fella by the name of Lionel Hitchman. 10 seasons with the Bruins, another old guy. I'm taking a lot of these old guys. I did it in the Celtics draft too. He was paired on defense with Eddie Shore, so a natural matchup there, and helped the Bruins win their first Stanley Cup. So he retired a little bit early, I think, but no complaints. Lionel Hitchman.
All right. Well, I think I have to start. I only have 2 defensemen, so we should start adding to that group. So I think I'm going to go with, let's see, a couple of guys. I think I'm going to go with a guy who contributed to 2 Stanley Cups here in Boston, Dallas Smith, who did a little bit of everything for the Bruins. Obviously, you look at those Bruins teams from the 70s, and especially on defense, Bobby Orr obviously is the headliner there, but Dallas Smith was a guy who could, you know, play the puck. He was very physical, but also great at moving the puck up the ice, you know, contributing in all different areas of the game. You know, went to a couple of All-Star games during his time with the Bruins. So I think for leading my second D pair, I'm going to go with Dallas Smith.
All righty.
All right. Brady's kind of forcing my hand with the goalie here. Got to go with my guy, Tuukka Rask. I mean, obviously, like, you got, like, Jerry Cheevers, Frank Brimsek, Tim Thomas, but there's something to be said. I believe it's the franchise all-time leader in wins. The longevity he's had, I mean, Cup not as a starter, but I think he can certainly do that if the season gets going or if he's still at a high level next year. I'll just go to bat for him any day of the week. Tuukka Rask. And then I think we're going to go with some more scoring punch on the wing while it's still there. we'll go Wayne Cashman at left wing. 17 seasons, all with the Bruins, top 10 in goals and points. So it speaks for itself. 2 cups with Bobby.
Are you talking about Wayne Cashman?
Yeah, did you take him?
The player I took in the 3rd round?
Oh, I missed that. My bad. It kind of makes my decision for me then. Might be a little early, but we'll go Glen Murray at right wing. Kind of just like the right-handed version of Milan Lucic by all accounts. Got that scoring punch with the goals. I say scoring punch a lot. I had the numbers here. But either way, goal scorer, can hold his own with the physicality. So get something on the wing while we can.
There you go.
All right. Well, if the goalie market's being struck now, I might as well jump and get my number 1 while I have the chance. I would have loved to take Tuukka Rask, but I'll take the guy who led them to a cup in 2011 in Tim Thomas, a guy who might have been an unorthodox goalie. I know a couple of goalie purists see the way he plays, and it's like, oh my God, like it's not like textbook by any means, but man, did he get it done? When he was really locked in for the Bruins, and that whole run he had during that run for the cup in 2011 was, just absolutely bananas against some of the competition he was going up against, and how much scoring firepower Vancouver had. To really just shut them down the way he did was very impressive. So I'm going to go with my top goalie is Tim Thomas.
Oh, see, I was hoping he might hang around to be like my backup goalie, but I think that was a little bit aggressive there. So Tim Thomas off the board. Such a shame. I'll always say that Thomas was better than Rask, but that's an argument for another day. I'm gonna look into centers again. I think could use that.
You regret waiting on this guy, aren't you?
See, well, so there are guys that are like up there on the rankings, but they're also real old, and I'm looking to kind of space it out a little bit more than that. I keep getting these old players.
Kind of like you did with the Celtics.
Exactly. I don't know. Well, maybe that's because I'm basing it more off of numbers than actual knowledge, which does not help you.
No problem with that.
Yeah. Alrighty. I think this guy is checking the boxes. A guy named Peter Mcnabb. He's
good pick.
Yeah. Another guy that I admittedly don't know that much about, but he's ranks pretty highly in both goals with a career total of 263, 9th in all-time Bruins history, and then an assist. He's also somewhat up there as well. He's 13th, so 587 points, which ranks him up in the top 11. So I'll take Peter Mcnabb on the roster. That's left shot forward. Is he a center? I don't even know.
I believe he's a center. Yeah, I think so.
I'm having to do some quick Google searches here just to confirm. He, oh my gosh, why can't I find this? Yes, he was a center. All right, Peter Mcnabb at center. I'm trying to do a lot of things here, folks. Keeping the whole draft board, trying to learn who these old-time Bruins are, but we're doing well. So next up, we're going to find another winger, I believe. It's time for another winger, and I think this guy, Don Marcotte, is that the name?
Marcotte, yeah.
Marcotte. That's that'll be the guy. He's another winger. If I find his stats in time, I can tell you a little bit more about him. He's a little further down the list than I would like, actually. But I'm reading here, he's 10th among Bruins with 230 goals. Also won 2 cups with the team. I think it's a safe choice there. Might be a bit of a reach, but we'll go with it.
All right. This one I'm a bit biased because this was another guy I watched a whole bunch growing up that I love. But if we're getting a dynamic guy on the wing, I'm going to go with Sergei Samsonov, who consistent player when he was with the Bruins. Obviously kind of stole the thunder a little bit from Joe Thornton when they both got drafted. Joe Thornton took a little bit of a longer time to develop as one of those kind of big-bodied centermen, and Samsonov, who I think was like 5'8", 5'9", something he kind of translated to the NHL a lot quicker, and it was a lot of fun to watch, especially during his early years here with the Bruins. So I'm going to put Samsonov on my list.
I like it.
All right. Is it me?
'Tis you.
All right. We're gonna go with another defenseman. We're gonna roll with Glen Wesley here. 307 points in 537 games with the Bruins. Kind of the tail end of, or beginning of his career, excuse me. Just kind of jumped in and provided that offense a lot with underneath Ray Bork. And then at center, we're gonna go with Derek Sanderson, another staple of that 70s dynasty, if we want to call it that. Again, like that, or from all accounts and from what I saw from that NHL Network special the other night, kind of a do-it-all guy, can get you in the setup department and also hold his own defensively. Also assisted on the winning goal with my number one defenseman. So
There you go. Get that chemistry going.
it was great. You should watch it, Brady.
Couple different options. I'm gonna go with, let's see. A few different ways I can go. I just don't know whether this is tough. I'm struggling here. So I'm probably due to get a defenseman, but I feel like, you know, like the different tiers you can have, there's like so many guys who can like fill in a role, especially if we get into the bottom of the lineup. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if we're going to get a guy who can do a little bit of everything, you know, a guy who's able to drop the gloves, be a nuisance, but also be a good scorer. I'm going to add to the right wing Johnny Pie Mckenzie, who is a key guy on those teams in the 70s. Again, you know, he's able to score. He was, you know, a guy who was, you know, driving play. He could do that, especially when he's teamed up with some of the big guns that they had on those Bruins teams of the 70s, but also was a guy who's more than happy to drop the gloves and get physical and, you know, throw his weight around. I think he was over 100 penalty minutes, maybe almost every year of his career. If not, he came awfully close. Like that guy, you watch all those videos of them in the 70s where they're dropping the gloves and getting into line brawls, and there's a good chance that, you know, Johnny Pie Mckenzie's involved in it. So I'm going to go with him for my next pick.
I'm disappointed because both of those guys were definitely on my radar. I want to get a little bit more into these 70s Bruins because I feel like I have some, not as many recent as I would have thought, but definitely the old guys and some more current guys. So I'm kind of missing on some of those, you know, the golden age of the big bad Bruins there. A little bit disappointing, but we go on. Looking for, let's see, what do I need? Definitely need more defense. There's a major gap in my team at the moment. So, see, it's tricky because, you know, these online things, it's easy to sort by like points and goals and all that, but that's not really the biggest defensive metrics. And then Patrick doesn't like plus minus. It makes sense. But, man. Alrighty. I think I'm going to go with this guy who is a long time, you know, a lot of time spent around the Bruins in many capacities. Oh, the penalty minutes is unbelievable on this fella. But he was a defenseman back in his playing days, Mike Milbury.
Oh my God.
What?
It's getting snatched up.
It is. I'm surprised he hung around. You know, it's one of those iconic names in Bruins history, but also known for his coaching. Does this mean that he's not on the board as a coach anymore too?
I mean, if we did that with Tommy Heinsohn and the Celtics, we can't do that with these.
Good point. All right. No player coaches. Mike Milbury will be the defenseman for me. All righty. Second pick of this turn here. I already took Lucic because I wanted Lucic. Man. Looking for, I don't need a backup goalie yet. It's definitely too early for that, I would think. Am I going to go back in time again for this guy? Who I'm surprised isn't still around. But I'm going to take Bill Cowley. Cowley? 536 points in 508 games with the Bruins. Kind of crazy numbers there. Hart Trophy winner, which he won twice in his career. And, of course, won a cup in the same year that Bruins won a cup and won the scoring title in the same year, the 40-41 season. Bill Cowley. Oh, I gotta figure out how to pronounce that.
All right. I think it's time for me to add a. Oh. You know what? Forget it. I'm gonna add a guy up front again. I think if I got Samson as my left winger, because I think he played early as a left wing, so I got my third line all set. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go start off my fourth line with the left winger on the fabled Kraut line back in the 40s and 50s. I'm gonna go with Woody Dumont, who I think retired as the all-time leading scorer for the Bruins as a left winger, and I still think he's up there. I mean, the Bruins have had guys like Cashman and Marchand and stuff like that, but Dumont for a while obviously left quite a legacy with that team. And even if Milt Schmidt was the guy who maybe got most of the recognition of leading that group, Dumont, is a hockey Hall of Famer himself. Just was a guy who was a key role in leading those teams to those 2 cups during the era that he played in. So I'm going to go with Woody Dumont.
I like it. That guy's been hanging around, I think.
Yeah. Well, that kind of takes away a small headache I had. I was considering, where I already had Schmidt, marrying myself to Dumont and Bobby Bauer for that line, but kind of I don't have to stick with them now. So I think down the middle we're gonna go. I don't think it's John. I think it's Gene Rattel. Just kind of came to the Bruins tail end of his career after I think it was in the trade with Brad Park. But I mean, 90 points, 94 points, 84 points, and then 2 of the final 3 seasons of his career goes 72, 73 points. Just kind of numbers speak for themselves. It's 450 points in 419 games. Didn't get a cup in Boston, but just a prolific scorer. So then we got one more here. I do kind of need another defenseman, but I think we're gonna go back to the Kraut line with Bobby Bauer. Again, Milt Schmidt kind of grabs the headlines, but 259 points in 327 games. That was when seasons were half as long as they were now. He's got 2 cups, 4-time All-Star, 3-time Lady Bang. He's got the hardware and the success.
And the namesake of Bauer hockey equipment. Is he actually?
Perhaps.
So.
You believe me?
Well, I mean, I remember learning about Bobby Bauer and knowing Bauer hockey when I was little and thinking, but I don't think it's right.
All right. Well, in the time it'll take to do these 4 picks, maybe you want to Google that. That was a made-up fact from me, but.
All right, I'm gonna round out my sentence now. I'm gonna go with the guy who was traded in a pretty lopsided deal for the Bruins, but during the early start of his career, he was one of the best young players in the NHL. I'm gonna go with Barry Petersen, who, I mean, you look at, the Bruins ended up obviously winning that trade because unfortunately Petersen, dealt with a whole bunch of injuries and it really kind of added up and he wasn't able to, generate that production he had early in his career. But I mean, you look at his first, 3 full seasons as an NHL player, 92 points, 107 points, 116 points. Like, I mean, I feel like everyone always kind of forgets of how good he was. And you look at, David Pasternak's production and, there's all those stats that early on this year that were like, Pasternak's the first player since such and such under the age of like 22 to get like 200, 300 points. The guy who had a pass for most of those numbers was Petersen. Like Petersen was the original guy who just exploded onto the scene to be a productive player. So I'm going to round out my centers by going with Barry Petersen.
I like it. I think. All right, I'm not going to take that guy yet, but I got a name on my list that I plan to take at some point, but probably not with either of these picks. I need to get some right wingers here. I only have 2 right wingers on the board. I'm trying to stay true to lefties and righties and natural positions. That might change here depending on how these boards end up looking. So
I mean, if you're basing off recency bias, there's a pretty significant right winger still on the board.
There is.
Which I will no longer be taking a right winger because I'm full. I'm kind of miffed I forgot about him, but it's all right.
You know what? You bring up a good point because I was about to go back to the well of 1930s Bruins, and I think I just decided that I'm taking Nathan Horton.
You're welcome.
Thank you very
I've helped your team out so much.
Well, so I was like trying to think because Conor took Recchi, and I was like, okay, that was the big right winger in those days, right? But I forgot that 10 years ago, like Bergeron and Marchand were almost like a second line duo, and it was like Krejci, Lucic, and now Horton on that top line there for the Bees. They were kind of like 1A, 1B though, weren't they? So.
I mean, we can work out a trade for you to get that line together.
Oh. I don't know. I think I've got my fair share of enforcers here. I don't know if I need Lucic. It'd be interesting though. I'd be curious. All right, need a defenseman. Let's see who's around. Taking suggestions here. Let's see. The problem is I'm trying to get names that I recognize, which has proven to be more of a challenge than I anticipated with some of these. I just came across a name literally a minute ago, and I've forgotten it in this time. Not ideal, but nonetheless, we're going to go with this. Let's see. I need some more offense on my defense, if that makes sense. Number 4 in all-time goals by a defenseman, Doug Mohns. Mohns. Born in 1933, so another one of those older fellas. But offensive numbers for a defenseman, quite impressive. 347 points in total, which ranks him 5th among all-time Bruins. Patrick's favorite stat, minus 153. So that's fun.
Wow.
33 power play goals, though. So a guy that could get it done in special situations. Dougie Mohns.
All right. Well, I think I have to add to my defense, and I'm going to go with a guy who, obviously, Tim Thomas, I think, was the leading candidate for the Conn Smythe, but I think a guy who is, was right up there. He was never going to win, but a guy who was so huge during that entire run was Dennis Seidenberg, who I think is the perfect guy you'd want as a second pairing guy, a guy who's tough dude, log a bunch of minutes. He was just a force with Zdeno Chara during, his prime here in Boston. You look at some of the numbers he puts up, and he may not, it's kind of like an offensive lineman, right? Where you look at, if you don't really notice what they do, it's usually a good thing. And Dennis Seidenberg, though, like the amount of minutes he logged, I think in that game 7 against Tampa Bay in 2011, which was one of the best games ever. I think he had like 9 block shots and he had like 29 minutes of ice time, something crazy like that. So, I think I'm going to go with him to put on my second D pair.
I like it.
All right. I'm also kind of in a bind for defense, and I need a final left winger. I think we're going to go Stan Jonathan at left wing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he'd still be around. Wow.
Yeah, 198 points in 392 games with the Bruins, 8 years with the Bruins. Again, began his career after that whole 70-72 run, but solid production or solid secondary production nonetheless. On defense, Conor talks about perfect second pair guys. I think we're going to go Johnny Boychuk. He could easily be one of those cult hero picks, but I think that's a good one to round out. We got a ton of offense on defense, kind of need that two-way game. So I think he fits into that.
5'8", 175, but he was a fighter. 20 fights in the 79-80 season.
Yeah, and managed to put up some solid numbers too.
Alrighty. Stanley.
Let's see.
Patrick, was that one pick or two?
Two. Stan Jonathan, left wing, Johnny Boychuk, T.
Okay. Did I miss that?
All right, well, I think I just need a right winger to finish up my forward group. It's tough. It's always the right wings. It's like even now on the current Bruins team, they're just like in desperate need of just like some more stability at the right wing. So,
I mean, just the type of year they had, kind of want to think about Jerome McGinley, but that wouldn't end well.
Yeah. Oh boy. He only played here for 2 years, but it was in his prime, so he'd still be productive, I think. If you put him on a team now, I'm going to go with local guy from Massachusetts and Billy Guerin.
Nice.
Obviously GM of the Minnesota Wild now, but was productive here in his 2 years. I think he's a BC guy, so you won't hold that against him, I guess. But he scored 40 goals in his second year with the Bruins. Obviously retires with almost 900 points. So I think if you put him, especially with a guy like Barry Petersen, I think you're going to get a lot of production in that bottom six. So I'm going to go with Billy Guerin.
I like it. Alrighty, we're getting towards the bottom of the rosters here. This is the end of round 17, and we're going to go through 22 rounds, which includes a coach and a cult hero. So two of the most highly anticipated rounds, of course. And you can get a coach whenever you want, by the way. You probably don't want to get a cult hero before round 22, unless you really like them. But yeah, those are. It's kind of time to start thinking about a coach. But I don't know if I want to do that yet. I feel like you guys are going to take this guy, so I will snatch him up now. It'll be Andy Brickley as my fourth line right winger. Obviously, what he's done around the Bruins basically his entire life at this point kind of speaks for itself. But also solid points, 222 points in 385 career games. And a guy, not a very long career. Kind of around the Bruins, late 80s, early 90s. He did spend the majority of his career in Boston. So I'll take him, Andy Brickley. My second pick here is going to have to be I don't think – well, you guys are fine on defense now, aren't you?
No, I need two more, and it's looking very sparse.
Oh, man. Well, I might make your problems worse here.
I think you will.
This was a guy who – Patrick talks about when he started actually knowing what was going on with the Bruins and remembering things like names, which is important to know. This was a guy that I definitely was a major fan of in his time with the Bees. Another one of those side characters along with Chara in his when he excelled here in Boston. It's gonna be Dennis Wideman. Played alongside Chara, I believe. Only spent 4 seasons with the Bruins, which is less than I remembered. But one of those, defensive guys that, kind of gritty in his own way. Not a big guy, but I think he'll fit in well. So
offensive production on the back end, too.
A little bit.
There you go.
All righty.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with a guy who's already productive right now and should be more productive, going with the Pastrnak route there. So for my third D pairing, I'm going to have Charlie Mcavoy, who guy who's already averaging, a certain amount of minutes, a guy who, again, he gets knocked a lot this year for not scoring a goal until kind of pretty recently, obviously. But you look at, his ability to move the puck up the ice, his ability to take the puck to win the puck back. And, just what everything he does, he is the makings of a guy who's going to be a top pairing, potentially franchise defenseman for a long, long time. And he was unfortunately playing some of his best hockey, I think, after he scored that goal, got the monkey off the back and kind of settling into his role. So I'm going to go with Charlie McAvoy, my third D pairing.
I like that pick. I wasn't sure if it would be a little too soon to go after him, but I'm kind of handcuffed here with who I need to pick.
Well, Connor's been going with these future Bruins here. He's got Pasta and McAvoy, so guys that you're anticipating will become. Legends.
I think Pasta's already there, but so with on defense, from what I've heard, much maligned when he was here, but he carved out quite the NHL career. 626 games with the Bruins. We're gonna go Hal Gill, defensive defenseman. Again, we need some of a conscience back there. Penalty kill. He kind of can hold the fort for us back there. This one's tough. I don't know if he is there. He could easily be a cult hero.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go Adam McQuaid.
Oh my gosh.
Adam McQuaid and Hal Gill as a D pairing. I would not like to skate down against either of those two. That would be a nightmare. So I think I'm not very confident in that pick. I think Brandon Carlo would be good if we're going with the potential. But I think just for kind of what he meant to the fans, Adam McQuaid.
You now have 7 defensemen, you know.
I have 7?
You have 7. That was your 7th.
Wait, no way.
Haven't you taken Boychuk, Gill, and McQuaid?
Yeah, I only had 3 before that.
I believe, isn't Glen Wesley a defenseman?
Yeah.
All right, and Don Sweeney and Brad Park and Bobby Orr.
Oh my gosh.
You want to redo that pick while we're still here?
I would like to redo that pick. What am I missing?
Should we move Adam McQuaid to your cult hero? No, we don't.
No. Am I missing a left winger then?
I could probably speak for Conor in that McQuaid wasn't really on our boards.
No, he was not. I thought I was forcing my hand here.
Yeah, I'm going.
So it turns out I need a left winger. I can't count, evidently.
You're welcome. Adam McQuaid, 4th line right wing.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate the help for that very much. That would have been tough. Let me do some research quickly.
Put him in a bind here. I'm going through, Conor, I don't know if you saw, I sent the draft board. Probably should have beforehand, but it's here if you need it.
Cool.
All right. We're going to go a little bit old-time hockey again. Fred Stanfield, 409 points in 448 games with the Bruins. He did win the cup. He was part of that 72 team, so 2 cups. And again, some good secondary production, 64 points, 76, 79, 78. I'm sure a lot of that is helped by playing with Bobby. But I think that's a decent pick for the 4th line.
All right, well, I think I'm going to finish up my D course. I'm going to go with another guy from those Big Bad Bruins era. So I'm going to go with Don Ori, who, is a guy who, people talk about how the Bruins now with Brendan Carlo and Torrey Kruger are such, polar opposites in the way they play. I think you could make the same case about Bobby Orr, who's one of the most dynamic players ever, especially from the blue line. The guy like with Ari, who was very much a stay-at-home guy, very physical dude, who he averaged like almost 130 penalty minutes a season, kind of during his prime with this team. So I think you put him on the 3rd D pair. You're going to have a guy, especially you put him with Charlie Mcavoy, who likes to play with the puck a little bit more. I think that's going to be a pretty good fit. He's going to bring that physicality that you need, especially there on that blue line.
Can you repeat that name, please?
Yep, Don Awrey, Awrey.
Ari. All right. That was bad. I'm sorry. What do I need here? I need a 4th right winger, and I need – actually, and then it's a coach and a cult hero. I'm going to get ahead of it here. I'm taking a coach. The question is who? I don't want to take Claude. Not taking Claude Julien.
Okay.
What?
It's weird that you're dead set against Claude, but all right. I'm not going to make your pick for you again, so do whoever you want.
Oh, come on. I just saved you from taking Adam McQuaid.
Thank you.
I think nope, not him. I think there's a trophy named after this guy.
No, yeah. He was in my running for the coach I picked.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I think I don't know if I'm gonna go with him actually. There's
there's I'd say he's like one of 4 obvious choices.
Yeah.
Since we can't do player
coaches. In front of me, I've got some very nice help here from the fan-sided team, showing me the top 5 Bruins head coaches of all time. The problem is I can't decide on one.
I don't think you can go wrong.
No, I've already got Mike Milbury, so let's not forget we've got some leadership and coaching experience there to begin with. But
you already have O'Reilly.
He was a coach?
Yep.
Huh. All right, I'm good then. I'm gonna go with Art Ross, whose name is now attached to the trophy of the players who lead the league in points at the end of the regular season. So that's what I was thinking of. But yeah, Art Ross is going to be in, one of the biggest names of his era in terms of coaching. And another, older guy, 1939 was the year he won the cup. And he's, I'll take it. All-time record, 361, 277, and 90. Isn't great. But it's decent. 16 seasons on the Boston bench. I'll take it. Yeah. Oh, I have another pick. So I've got that. I'm going to go backup goalie, I think, and save a winger for last. The question is which backup goalie? We've only gone to 3 goalies so far, so there's got to be some real good players still left on this list.
There are.
Yeah. Oh, you're looking at it.
One of them could qualify as a cult hero.
Really? The scary thing is how high Halak ranks on some of these lists of Bruins goalies. 236 goals against average, the 7th best in franchise history. Kind of nuts.
In 2 years.
Yeah, in 2 years. This is where I really wish that Timmy Thomas was still on the board. No hard feelings, though. We move forward. Oh, I've got a guy in mind.
Okay, so pick him.
I don't think I should. He has a save percentage of .861.
I'm sure he was playing in an era where goalies
you'd be
where that was like probably like pretty good.
Yeah.
It's
You got to remember, like before the 90s, before Patrick Waugh, like we weren't used to like plus 900 save percentage.
Okay. He had a 3-year NHL career.
Okay, so don't take him.
I want to, but I don't. All right. I'm not going to do it, but the name I was looking at was Jim Craig. He did spend a year with the Bruins. Wasn't very good, unfortunately. But, I mean, BU fans and, of course, Americans, got to love Jim Craig. Instead, just trying to find a name I recognize here. I think it's going to be Patrick. Is this the guy you were thinking of?
I mean, you got to take someone at some point.
I know. I'm sorry. It's going to be Andrew Raycroft of 108 teams. Why not?
No, take him. Take him.
Save percentage of .908. I'll take it.
I mean, he brought us Tuukka Rask, so he is significant to Bruins history.
Now you got me questioning myself. I don't want to take, like, Anton Khudobin here. Like,
no, there's plenty of options outside. Like, man.
Right? I'm going to do it.
I'll wait till we finish up the draft to list off who you could have taken.
No, I see the names, but I just don't recognize any of them. And with my 20th pick, I want somebody that I know.
Okay.
Great NESN analyst, too.
All right.
All right. Well, if I'm going to grab a goalie.
You've had a long time to think about it.
You know what? I'm going to go with, Frank Brimsek's up there. He's a Hall of Famer. Like, I love Lord Byron growing up, so like he'd be a great backup goalie. But I think I'm going to go with just overall talent. I'm going to go with Frank Brimsek, Mr. Zero, who was led them to a couple of Stanley Cups. In the early, late 30s, early 40s. Guy is a hockey Hall of Famer, so I think you can't go wrong with Mr. Zero there as your backup goalie.
I agree.
I figured out my problem here. I was sorted by save percentage, so
yeah.
That's why Raycroft looked real good. Oh well.
So my backup goalie, I'm gonna roll with Jerry Cheevers. Can't get enough of that 1970, 72 talent. Just core member, also a cult hero. I mean, so many of these guys are just, you hear about them so much from your parents and grandparents. And then coach, I'm gonna go Claude. Just so important to that 07 turnaround that like this team kind of saw. I mean, him and Chara Savard all coming in around the same time, part of like the righting of the ship.
Very nice.
Go wrong. All right. Well, if I'm gonna grab a coach, I could get like Sinden's up there, obviously, but I'm gonna go recent. I'm gonna go with Bruce Cassidy. I think you put him and the way he kind of the structure that he puts in with this Bruins team, especially with some of these more offensive-minded guys like Esposito and Oates and those guys. I really want to see how they would fare, in a system that he put forward. It's a lot more aggressive than what Claude Julien and a few of the other guys before him kind of put in the roster. So I'm going to go with Butchie as my coach.
If I didn't go Claude, I think I would have gone Bruce.
You're on a nickname basis with this guy?
He's got like the perfect nickname that it's good to like drop that nickname every once in a while. There's some guys who are like in the locker room where you get like the name and you're like, all right, that one doesn't really like, I'd rather just call you by your actual name because like that one's not conducive as like a good nickname. Like Butchie's great. That one like works perfectly.
Mm-hmm. All right, fourth right winger for me. To be honest, I've not really been looking that closely, so I should do that now. Oh man, I had a
Are you not taking your cult hero at this point?
no. I have two picks here, so I have a cult hero,
Oh,
and
that's right.
I have a fourth right winger. But the question is who? I do have a plan, by the way. I'm going to take a page out of Patrick's book and sign a free agent at the end of this and drop a player. So Andrew Raycroft will not be making the cut. I have another name that I will definitely be looking at, but I have to make sure that you guys aren't going to take him. So I will wait on that. In the meantime, how about a player up here in the leaderboards that has somehow slipped through the cracks? All-time goals list. Who's this fella? Oh, okay. Right shot. Alrighty. Keith Crowder. Born in 1959, so probably would have been around late 70s that he played. Something I probably should have learned before I
Good bargain pick.
I think it is. 607 games played, 219 goals, 258 assists, and 477 points. Also, 1,261 penalty minutes. So, gotta love this guy. Also prolific on the power play with 64 power play goals all time, ranking 7th among all Bruins forwards historically. So there we go. There's my fourth right wing by the name of Keith Crowder. All right, time for a cult hero. Patrick knows that I have a absurd.
Oh my gosh, you're actually gonna do it?
So I think it's only fair that I take David Backes here. My team doesn't lack in leadership. I have, former coaches. I've got plenty of captains. But in terms of a guy who can just complete a role no matter what you ask him to do, well, don't ask him to be a speedy winger, I guess. But, a guy that can just put his ego aside and get a job done, it's going to be David Backes. I mean, we'll take who are they trading for? What? I forget the name. Oh my gosh.
Kasha.
Thank you. Yes. I mean, I'll take Kasha, but.
All right. Well, if I'm picking a cult hero, so obviously a whole bunch to choose from, but I'll go with the classic one from recently. I'm gonna go with Shawn Poet, who kind of settled into the built his kind of foundation here and was deeply kind of ingrained in the culture here in Boston. I mean, you could always see him around the North End of Charlestown or something like that, even on off days. A guy who is very much a quintessential Bruin, kind of harking back to that old era. Obviously, never afraid to drop the gloves. So I think you add him to the mix, he'd be a key guy for this Bruins team. I mean, you saw him in 2011, him getting inserted into the lineup, how much that helped, especially kind of turn the tide there during that series against the Canucks. So I don't think you can go wrong with a player like him.
Nice. Final pick, Mr. Irrelevant.
I think there's a bunch of guys I could take here. Obviously, there's Pye Campbell to complete the Merlot line. I love Michael Ryder. I don't know if I'd consider him a cult hero, though. I think we'll go Andrew Ference, another guy from that 2011 squad. Him and Ryder, two the non-big name guys that I just absolutely love when I was growing up. So I think that's a good pick.
I like it. All right. Thus concludes the draft. I will switch out my second goalie for a guy that was not picked, who ranks 6th all time among Bruins goaltenders. Ed Johnston.
No
Andy Moog in this draft.
No.
I was debating. I was either him or Lord Byron. I'm always team Lord Byron. So
Andy Moog was kind of the goalie that I could have, at least judging by Twitter these days, seemed like a cult hero fit.
Oh yeah.
Ed Johnston. Alrighty. So I will do this. Share screen. Boom. There we are. Wish I could zoom it. I can't. Oh. There we are. Aha. Can you guys see that clear enough, I guess?
Yep.
Yeah, I have it up on my screen anyways.
Oh, that's right. So, there's your final draft board. How do we feel about it, folks?
Feel great. I'm feeling pretty happy. I I think if you go all the way, like build through the middle and then get a good number one D pairing, you're in pretty good shape. So
Yeah. That's where my team lacks a little bit. I'm not that confident in having Torrey Krug being on the top line defense. But let's see what happens.
Thing is, your team could like beat the crap out of like most teams. Like you got Eddie Shore, right?
Eddie Shore, Terry O'Reilly, Cam Neely, Mike Milbury.
Yeah, we're gonna Eddie Shore like straight up might kill another dude on the other team. So I think you don't have to worry about getting knocked around at all in any game.
That's the goal. And David Backes won't have to be an enforcer on this team.
There you go.
Just strictly locker.
He'd be like 10th on the list in terms of being the guy up to drop the gloves.
Patrick, you like what you seen?
Yeah, I think we're pretty balanced except for the back half of the defense. I do like Conor's approach, build through the middle and on defense. He did snatch up some guys I wanted, especially Adam Oates. I shouldn't have waited. But I think we got a pretty good squad. Would we be able to submit our line combinations after the fact?
Yes.
So we're not married to these?
Yes. Right. I was kind of more writing it down for like numerical purposes to help with, in a situation that someone took 7 defensemen. So yeah, I just
appreciate it.
Can definitely change that around just to let me know maybe later today, and I'll make some graphics and we'll have it out on Twitter in no time. Final question for you: was it reasonable to do the all full lineups and 66 players?
I think it's probably the only way you can really do it and give it justice. I mean, you run into it's one of those things where I was worried going into it, where you're gonna run into issues on the wing. But with a team like the Bruins, who've been around for so long, there's so many guys who, filled certain roles. Like even like Donnie Marcotte, who may not be the most dynamic guy, but that dude could play any forward position. Was a great penalty killer, defensive player. Did a little bit of everything. So there's so many guys like that. Or even, a guy who's only here for a year or two, like Bill Guerin, who's still a 40-goal scorer. When you've got a team with that much history, there's so many options you can go with. So made it for a fun exercise, that's for sure, in terms of just seeing how many guys really were on this team.
Yeah. I mean, when you said that the other night, Brady, when we were spitballing this, I was kind of starting lineup because I was like, there's no way we're going to get guys relevant enough or good enough, I guess, qualified to be on an all-time team. But it was nice to kind of dig, reach in real deep into the record books and see who's up there. And I think it's a good amount of names people might have forgotten about, or maybe some old favorites that flew under the radar. Yeah.
I think I definitely learned a lot. Got to admit, a lot of these names were not names that I was familiar with going into this. But, happy we got to do it. Thankful that Conor joined us. So thank you again, Conor, for bringing your expertise and giving us some of your time here today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Would you like to plug any of your work for our tens of listeners?
We have a whole bunch of stuff coming up every single day. It's obviously a tough situation for everyone, especially in the sports world, but there's in these unprecedented times, there's still plenty of news coming out every single day. We're talking to Bruins players pretty much 4 or 5 times a week. So if you go on our website, bostonsportsjournal.com, we have a whole bunch of informative stuff. We do a little bit of deep dives into underlying numbers, stats, graphs, all that fun stuff. Features, Q&As, which we'll be having one running tomorrow. So follow us along there. Follow me on Twitter at ConorRyan_93. And we'll keep the content wheel more or less churning during this whole break as best we can, at least.
Same here. It's exactly what we're finding ourselves doing, which is why this video happened. But of course, everyone watching, if you've made it this far, thank you for joining us today. And be sure to check out us on Twitter. Patrick is at PatOn12. I'm at Brady D. Gardner. Connor's is escaping my mind.
Conor Ryan _93. Conor with 1 N.
Born in
everyone always forgets. Yes.
Okay.
Gives it away, right?
Yeah. So that's it for today. Please let us know also what you thought of our teams. Get some interaction going. Which team was the best? We'd like to hear from you. But that is it for today. So thank you so much for listening to episode 52 of the Duck Boat Report. We'll see you next time.